Alright, I need to get into the right mindset for reviewing this film. Excuse me, gangsters with the machine guns, could you help me out a little bit? Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn, released in 2020 and is directed by Cathy Yan, who has also directed a film by the name of Dead Pigs. A small-time director chosen by Margot Robbie and the studio, and I think she does a hell of a job here. And this film is starring probably the smartest businesswoman in all of Hollywood right now, Margot Robbie, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Smollett-Bell, Rosie Perez, Ella J. Biasco, and Ewan McGregor. Oh, is that a snot bubble? Oh, gross. Oh, I've changed my mind. Cut her face off. Ew. Fuck! I hate saying that the best part of this all-female superhero film is the male character who plays the villain, but I mean, he really was. And we're here talking about Birds of Prey and the Harley Quinn because this week, it's my birthday week, and I wanted to talk about some movies that I just love watching, and I love DC superhero films. I love all superhero films. I don't want to make it seem like I'm choosing between DC and Marvel. I love both of them. You can love both of them. Just I like DC more. I grew up more on DC, so that's what we're talking about this week. Also because this week, actually tomorrow, a big event is happening over on HBO Max with the release, finally, the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League. The vision, the version that truly was meant to come to theaters, all from the mind of Zack Snyder. Not cut and pasted and put together like a Frankenstein monster from the re-edited version of Joss Whedon. So I wanted to talk about some DC this week. We already discussed Aquaman on Monday. Today, here we are, Birds of Prey. And I also wanted to talk about this movie because it's the last movie that I saw in theaters before this whole COVID shutdown thing happened last year. And it was I actually had a gift card from Christmas to use at the movie theater. So I saw this movie for free. It was a Christmas present, and it's the last movie that I ever saw in theaters. This movie is actually making me very emotional because I miss going to the movies. I miss it so much. Harley Quinn has always been known as the girlfriend of the Joker. And because she's the girlfriend of the Joker, she can get away with anything that she wants by doing anything to anyone. But now the Joker and Harley Quinn have broken up, and unfortunately for Harley Quinn, that means that she is fair game for all of the assassins, bounty hunters, and mob bosses in Gotham. And the biggest one by far is Roman Sionis, otherwise known as Black Mask. And after capturing Harley and about to kill her, she works out a deal with Black Mask to retrieve a very valuable and very important diamond that holds the key to a massive fortune. Unfortunately, this diamond is in the possession of a street thief by the name of Cassandra Kane. So now Harley is on the chase for Cassandra, and also attempt to elude and also team up with a bunch of other female vigilantes in the city of Gotham. That's the big selling point of this movie. Margot Robbie, who is a producer of this film, this is really her baby. She got the whole ball rolling on this thing with the idea, hey, I want to do an all-girls superhero team-up. Let's do either Gotham City Sirens or let's do Birds of Prey. Because we have never seen that before on the big screen, where you had a team of all female superheroes going after a bad guy and bringing justice and goodness to the whole world or city or whatever. And that's where we get Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous of Harley Quinn. I actually really love the title, and I love the title even to this day. I know when this whole film began shooting, everyone was on board with the title, but then after this film was released, it didn't do that well at the box office. It made some money, but it definitely didn't do as well as they were thinking that it was supposed to, and everyone was saying like, well, of course it was the title, they should have called it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, or Birds of Prey Harley Quinn, just something simple like that. All coming from people who were previously talking earlier that year of how great the whole long title is because it says so much about the Harley Quinn character. DC criticism. I love it. Don't you? So frickin' hypocritical. This film to me is an absolute joy. I love watching this thing from beginning to end because all I can see on screen is just the creative inner workings of Margot Robbie and just how attached she is to this character of Harley Quinn, who we first saw in the film Suicide Squad. And say whatever you want about that movie, universally, everyone said the thing that they loved the most about the movie, if they loved anything at all, was Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Because she is perfect. She is that character. And this film is her story. Yes, it's called Birds of Prey, and then Harley Quinn is in the subtitle, but this is Harley's story from beginning to end. I love seeing this character, this Harley Quinn character, who's always been a sidekick. We first saw her ever on any form of media in the Batman animated series from the early 90s. She wasn't even supposed to be a main character, she was just a side character for an episode, and people really loved her, so they kept her around, and then they introduced her into the comics, so she stayed forever. And there's been a big Harley Quinn boom over the last 10 years with the rise of the cartoon show on HBO Max, which is one of the best cartoon shows, not just superhero or DC cartoon shows, but just cartoon shows in general since the Batman animated series from the 90s. It's almost 100% perfect. There was some DC animated pictures of Harley Quinn coming out, a bunch of comic series and runs with the character. This has become one of the most iconic and most popular characters in the whole DC Comics universe. So to see her fully realized in a full feature film where she's the main character, it's awesome. And then she's joined by a couple other DC characters who we've never seen on the big screen. How could you not be excited for that? In particular, Journey Smollett-Bell's interpretation of Black Canary. She was one of the standouts of the film. I love her performance. I think she's gorgeous. And I love her interpretation of the character Dinah Lance. I kept wondering, are we kind of neutering this character because we're not seeing the Canary cry at all through here? Does she actually have powers, or is she just Black Canary by name, but not actually the metahuman Black Canary? Oh, don't worry, she's the metahuman. There's only one scene in here where you get to see it, and it's awesome when it does. It builds up to it, so it's definitely earned, and yeah, one of the most enjoyable parts of the movie. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who plays Huntress, I think she's good for what we see her and what she's given in this film. Great comedic delivery on a lot of her very serious and deadpan lines. I don't feel like they use her to her full extent, or at least what they should have, in my opinion. Huntress has always been a staple in the team Birds of Prey, and I mean, she's barely in this thing. She kind of actually fully shows up really at the climax of the movie. We see her periodically here and there, some cool badass scenes here and there, but we don't really start diving into the character until the climax. Rosie Perez plays Renee Montoya here, and Renee Montoya is a character from the comics that I love. She's a plain old detective in Gotham, usually teaming up with Bullock, either in the animated series or in the actual comics. She actually ends up turning into The Question, which is a character that I love, and she gets into a relationship with Batwoman. I love this character. I don't think she's serviced well here, though, with this actress. It's a performance that I was just lukewarm on, and I didn't really care for at all. Then Ella J. Basco is Cassandra Kane, who is just a street thief, and this was one of the things that really irked me about this movie. It's the only thing that irked me about this movie, because Cassandra Kane is a mute in the comics, and she eventually becomes Batgirl, and one of the most badass versions of Batgirl. The costume design of that Batgirl is actually really cool. Here, though, this is not Cassandra Kane. She is Cassandra Kane by name, but she is not that character from the comics, so I wish they would have just called her anything else. If they did, I would have been totally okay with her, but the fact that they're calling her Cassandra Kane, and this is obviously not Cassandra Kane, I'm checked out on her. Like I said, the main focuses here are Harley Quinn, Black Canary, and of course, Ewan McGregor's Black Mask. And I remember hearing reports from the set about how everyone was just shocked at the interpretation that McGregor was bringing to the role. The fact that he was treating him as a homosexual and really dialing it up. People were a little skeptical as to how it would come across on screen. I think it comes across great. It's a character, it's a performance that we really haven't seen before when it comes to superhero films. You can tell he's just having a blast, hamming it up, having all of these stereotypical, just dirty, disgusting, evil lines, and just delivering it in the funnest and just joyful way possible. I love his performance. He is the standout of this movie. And he's not one of those characters that's just so lovable that you love him. No, this character is a son of a bitch. And it's a great thing to see McGregor play with this character. At one point, he's being big, obnoxious, joyful, and laughing, and then all of a sudden he just switches, and you see the gears turn in his head, and all of a sudden he becomes an assaulting, rapist son of a bitch. It's a sign of a good actor, and that's McGregor here. I think Cathy Yan directed a hell of a film. I know in recent weeks she's talked about how she wished she would have had more creative control when it came to this movie. I mean, it sounds like she did. That's the big thing whenever you get into these big blockbuster, big studio films. You're going to have a collaboration with the producers, and the producers who are putting their money towards a big picture like this are going to want certain things from it. That's the role of the director, and I still think she does a great job of directing this. I know they brought in the stunt coordinator of the John Wick movies to come in and kind of spice up a lot of the action scenes. You can definitely tell that too. In particular, the scene in the jail cells with all the fire sprinklers going off in there. Watching it, I'm like, yep, that's John Wick. Car chase on roller skate scene. Yeah, you see those footprints of John Wick action all throughout this movie. And that's not a bad thing. It makes this movie that much better. This movie's great. It reminds me of great times of going to the movies with friends, just enjoying a great tub of popcorn and some peanut M&Ms, and with a nice large Coke, just sitting back and watching previews, watching a movie on a big screen. Oh, I miss movie theaters. I know in my ranking of all the superhero films from 2020, I put this one at number 2 and Wonder Woman 84 at number 1. Now that I've had time to digest Wonder Woman 84, I would have to say Birds of Prey is actually my number 1 most favorite superhero film from 2020. I think the story's more concise. I love the pacing of this movie. I love the characters that I'm seeing here. The performances are great. Just overall, this is a really fun movie. I really hope they get a sequel. I know the box office of this film wasn't that successful, and I would like to attribute that to, I mean, this was February of 2020, so the coronavirus and COVID-19, all the shutdown things, it was all started to get traction to eventually, about a month later, everything would be shut down, so I would say that played a part in the box office of this movie, a little bit. I definitely think that this whole universe deserves a sequel, whether it's Gotham City Sirens, just another one that just focuses on Harley Quinn. I really want to see Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn interact with a live-action version of Poison Ivy, and really dive into that relationship, especially from the cartoon from HBO Max, because their relationship, those two as a couple, I think they're, if not the best couple, one of like the top 3 best couples in the whole DC Comics animated film universe out there. I'm going to give Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn 4 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I like it a lot.
Alright guys, now comes my favorite part of my videos where I pick which movie I'm watching next, and I don't really have to think that hard because it's happening tomorrow. Zack Snyder's Justice League hitting HBO Max. I am so excited. I was actually okay with a theatrical version of Justice League. I don't have as many problems with it as majority of people out there do, but I am very excited to finally see the Zack Snyder vision finally gets its resolution with this 4-hour-long cut of Justice League. I'm super pumped. I can't wait to hear the score from Junkie XL. I'm going to watch it tomorrow. I'm probably going to be bawling my eyes out the entire time because it's just going to be so beautiful. And record my reaction tomorrow, hopefully sometime tomorrow evening, get that recorded and up so that it comes out either on Friday or as soon as possible, I'm not sure. We'll be checking that one out later this week. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, you can leave a recommendation below this video, or go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter, leave your recommendation there, and if I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout on the channel. And if you want me to do your recommendation as quickly as I possibly can and bypass the whole random generator that I have here, you can make a PayPal donation on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do, just attach your movie with the donation, and if I have access to it, I will watch it and publish my review of it as quickly as I possibly can. So guys, if you've seen Birds of Prey, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before, and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so you'll know the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review, finally, of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.